Of all the t-shirts that reference horror movies I've owned over the years, the one that's just a goofy ray gun and a movie title is the one that gets people coming up to me the most. And it's not just that the title evokes this kind of permanent American nostalgia for drive-in B movies. People have seen and love this movie specifically. And if we dig a little deeper, I bet we can figure out why. Here's everything you need to know about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Killer Klowns from Outer Space came out on May 27th, 1988, and it is about, well, it's about clowns from outer space who come to Earth to, kill. It's not a complicated narrative, folks. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, sometimes a killer clown from outer space is just a killer clown from outer space. What makes this movie relevant and interesting is the creators behind it, the Chiodo Brothers. They were sort of the Duffer Brothers of the 1980s, except there were 3 of them and they were actually working in the 1980s. Remember the Krites from Critters? There's a Chiodo brother who made those critters. And you remember Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure? When she makes a face, just like this. A Chiodo brother made that face. They were all over a ton of your favorite movies, from The Lost Boys to Ernest Scared Stupid, and their creative vision is simultaneously original and in keeping with the kinds of practical effects we saw in the 1980s. The Chiodo Brothers grew up loving monster movies like King Kong and films with stop-motion animation of Ray Harryhausen. Lucky for them, their parents saw their passion and gifted them film equipment and a projector to show off their creations. They used G.I. Joes, clay figures, and balsa wood to build realistic sets. The Chiodo Brothers spent their childhoods and college lives mastering how to make monster movie magic on the cheap. Fast forward to 1988, and they make Killer Klowns from Outer Space on $2 million, but because of what they learned as kids, only a little bit of that need to be spent on the special effects. So that giant clownzilla, that's a perspective shot. The big top flying saucer, that's a matte painting. When all the wires fly up into the tent, again, it's perspective and a miniature. And now, let's talk about those clowns.
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
While puppetry work in the faces is a big part of what makes the clowns feel alien, it was a very simple idea that the Chiodos had when they were auditioning the clowns that really sells the overall alienness. They told the performers to act like they were underwater. And if you look, that's what they do. All the motion is exaggerated and slightly out of step with gravity. No special effects needed, just acting. And speaking of acting, did you know Grant Cramer, who plays Mike Tobacco, had to dye his hair brown because John Allen Nelson was already cast and the Chiodos didn't want 2 blonde actors? Mike Tobacco, by the way, was supposedly based on a real childhood friend of the Chiodos who had brown hair. Suzanne Snyder took the part of Debbie Stone because her agent was convinced that Killer Klowns was destined to be a cult classic, which, correct. Snyder also took roles in Weird Science, Night of the Creeps, and Return of the Living Dead Part 2, where she lets her boyfriend eat her brains. That's a solid track record. The movie is not perfect. During production, one of the cars that was supposed to go off a cliff wound up with the car slowly rolling and getting stuck on a tree instead. That's not a thing you can shoot again, so the mistake is just in the movie. The movie was not a success in theaters, which isn't uncommon for cult classics. But the VHS art is dope. But the biggest way Killer Klowns entered the public consciousness was through basic cable. Think about it. There's no nudity to cut, and there's so many good clown kills that you can reveal someone in cotton candy and then cut to commercial, and then punch someone's head off.
What are you going to do? Knock my block off?
And cut to commercial, and then reveal someone has been made into a meat puppet and cut to commercial. There's no boring moments. Every time a commercial comes, you're probably gonna stick around to see what happens next. But there's still stuff for grown-ups, like the clown showing up with a pizza for a scantily clad woman, or the girl clowns with the inflatable breasts. It's not subtle, but then it's called Killer Klowns from Outer Space, so. And did I mention, there's a theme song? Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a song written by punk band The Dickies. Said to be a blend of influences from Entrance of the Gladiators and Tears of a Clown, the song was so successful, they made an EP and still play the song at shows to this day. Finally, a few fun facts. Killer Klowns from Outer Space inspired not one, but 2 Doctor Who episodes, The Happiness Patrol and The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. The Insane Clown Posse are fans, which, yeah. The Chiodos keep saying they're gonna make Killer Klowns from Outer Space 2, even though it's been 30 years, and I believe them. The Dickies already have the sequel song written. Spoiler, it's just the same song, but they say 2. And if t-shirt popularity is anything to go on, Killer Klowns' popularity never went away. And now, I think you know why. That's everything you need to know about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Oh, do check your cotton candy. There might be a corpse in it. There, now you know everything. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Do you think it's over?
Yeah, sure.